Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I request Naveed Malik for recitation of Holy Quran with translation of verses.
Assalamu alaikum. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا وكنتم على شفا حفرة من النار فأنقذكم منها كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تهتدون ولتكن منكم أمة يدعون إلى الخير ويأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر وأولئك هم المفلحون ولا تكونوا كالذين تفرقوا واختلفوا من بعد ما جاءهم البينات وأولئك لهم عذاب عظيم يوم تبيض وجوه وتسود وجوه فأما الذين اسودت وجوههم أكفرتم بعد إيمانكم فذوقوا العذاب بما كنتم تكفرون وأما الذين ابيضت وجوههم ففي رحمة الله هم فيها خالدون. Translation of verses 104 through 108 of chapter 3, Surah Al Imran. and hold fast all together by the rope of Allah, and be not divided. And remember the favor of Allah which He bestowed upon you when you were enemies, and He united your hearts in love, so that by His grace you became as brothers. And you were on the brink of a pit of fire, and He saved you from it. Thus does Allah explain to you His commandments, that you may be guided. And let there be among you a body of men who should invite to goodness and enjoin equity and forbid evil. And it is they who shall prosper. And be not like those who became divided and who disagreed among themselves after clear proofs had come to them. And it is they for whom there shall be a great punishment on the day when some faces shall be white and some faces shall be black. As for those whose faces will be black, it will be said to them, did you disbelieve after believing? Taste then the punishment because you disbelieved. And as for those whose faces will be white, they will be in the mercy of Allah. Therein will they abide.
Jazakallah. Please rise for the pledge of Majlis Khudam al-Amdiya. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship except Allah. He is one and has no partner. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his servant and messenger. I solemnly pledge that I shall always be ready to sacrifice my life, wealth, time, and honor for the sake of my faith, country, and nation. Likewise, I shall be ready to offer any sacrifice for guarding the institution of Khilafat Ahmadiyya. Moreover, I shall abide by any maruf decision made by Khalifatul Masih. Inshallah. Jazakallah. I now request Raza Ahmed for Urdu Nazm, followed by Ahmed Tariq for English poem.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. मंजूम कलाम हज़रत मुस्लिम मऊद रज़ी अल्लाह ताला अन्हो। नौनिहालाने जमाअत नौनिहालाने जमाअत मुझे कुछ कहना है।
پر ہے یہ شرط کہ ضائع میرا پیغام نہ ہو، نونہالان جماعت مجھے چاہتا ہوں کہ کروں چند نصائح تم کو، چاہتا ہوں کہ کروں چند نصائح تم کو، تاکہ پھر بعد میں مجھ پر کوئی الزام نہ ہو، نونہالان جماعت جب گزر جائیں گے ہم تم پہ پڑے گا سب بار، جب گزر جائیں گے ہم تم پہ پڑے گا سب بار، سستیاں ترک کرو طالب آرام نہ ہو، نونہالان جماعت خدمت دین کو ایک فضل الہی جانو، خدمت دین کو ایک فضل الہی جانو، اس کے بدلے میں کبھی طالب انعام نہ ہو، نونہالان جماعت میری تو حق میں تمہارے یہ دعا ہے پیارو، میری تو حق میں تمہارے یہ دعا ہے پیارو، سر پہ اللہ کا سایہ رہے، ناکام نہ ہو، نونہالان جماعت مجھے کچھ کہنا ہے، پر ہے یہ شرط کہ ضائع میرا پیغام نہ ہو، نونہالان جماعت.
The following verses are from the second Khalifa, Hazrat Mirza Bashiruddin Mahmud Ahmad Sahib, Hazrat Musleh Maud Razila Ta'ala Anhu. The English translation is as follows. O children of the Jamaat, I have something to say to you. but on the condition that my message would not go to waste. It is my desire that I give you some advices, so that later no blame should lie upon me. After we pass away, on your shoulders shall all burden fall. Shun all laziness and don't desire any comforts. Consider serving the religion as a blessing of God. Never desire worldly rewards in exchange for it. My prayer for your sake, O dear ones, is this: may God keep you under His shade, bringing no failure but bliss. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah. Next on the agenda is English poem by Ahmed Tariq.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Even when the darkness spreads, Khilafat sends light ahead. On them shall come no fear, nor shall they grieve. This is a promise from Allah we all must believe. Before Dajjal peddled Jahiliyat, Allah gave us Khilafat-e Ahmadiyyat. Khilafat is our Gandalf when he slammed down his staff and protects us from hell's demons with a "you shall not pass." Even when darkness spreads, Khilafat sends light ahead. The other day on the news, I saw the Khalifa's words coming true. Heed the call he makes every Friday for you and you and you. His pathway to peace is the lighthouse for these nations lost at sea, not knowing their forward from their backward as they drift in materialism aimlessly. They're headed to their destruction from ignoring Hazur's instructions. They don't realize the Third World War is being given a timely introduction. But when the cities have been scorched and that last light goes out, how will we see in the pitch black darkness, and who will save us from the fallout? The soul trembles at the thought of the pain and suffering the world's powers will put themselves through. Whether it's for our babies or our mothers, tell me, does this scare you? Do you have somewhere to go when the darkness overspreads? وَمِن شَرِّ غَاسِقٍ إِذَا وَقَبَ. The time is now hanging over our heads. So what do? Stockpile, yes, but in the darkness you will need the true source of all light. Do not fear the world's destructive powers. They are but anthills before his mountainous might. That's security after our fear. It is not far, brothers. It is very near. Turn to the lantern of Nur in your hearts, which Hazur is showing us how to create. It is a light born of prayers in the darkest hours when we bow and prostrate. It's a light that takes shape when the night is at its darkest and your soul forces your body awake. Like a moth, abandon hesitations and flutter to this light for God's sake. In the new world order, there will be tests we go through. Watch then how the Khalifa's prayers will help you. Even when the darkness will spread, Khilafat will send light ahead. Dajjal is making you think these countries are in progressive negotiations. God only knows what's really going on between these nations. Our Khalifa lights up the pathway to peace. Heed his call before there's panic in the streets. Even when the darkness spreads, Khilafat sends light ahead. When the bombs will fall with the pride of men, the world will realize Hazur was guiding us to our sole helper and friend. Allah is the reason, the purpose of our life and our love. So find another on this earth who urges us more to rise above. Dajjal makes you feel like this religion is a joke. But we'll see who's laughing when the world sees destruction and streets are blood-soaked. There is still time to wake up and listen to Amir al-Mu'mineen. You just have to follow him and believe in the seen and the unseen. Before the darkness overspreads, my brothers, find the light that Khilafat sends ahead. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah. And now special recognition. I call Montbatab to do a special recognition.
Assalamu alaikum. So we would like to recognize those individuals for whom this will be their last MKA Ijtema as a khadim. So they'll be turning Nasir next year. So if you're turning Nasir next year, please stand up. Please stand. Okay. MashaAllah. So look around. These individuals, they're of course most welcome to come attend our Ijtema, but they'll be attending as a Nasir and we won't have to compete against them. On behalf of Sadr Saab, all the Khudam that are here, all the Khudam that left, all the Khudam spread out over the United States, we want to thank you for your service, be it local, be it vacuuming the mosque, cleaning the pots, calling people for chanda, cleaning the highways, be it national, creating plans, the regional qaideen that had to muster up the local qaideen to do things, the Naib Sadran that had to represent Sadr Saab on different events. Jazakallah. Please have a seat. Two individuals especially like to recognize Naib Sadr Saab, Ifan Abdullah. Is he still here? He left. Okay. So Ifan Bhai is Naib Sadr Saab now. Prior to becoming Naib Sadr, he was Mu'tamim. Prior to that, he served as local qaid, Al-Mainami winning local qaid for a few years. So special recognition for him. Also, this year is the first year that local qaid Saab of Houston, former local qaid Saab of Houston, Tariq Bhatti, my brother, wasn't able to attend. He passed away earlier of cancer, so the Saab requested we recognize him as well. Jazakallah. The other thing is that according to the MKA Constitution, a Sadr can serve 6 years in a row in his capacity. So this October will be Sadr Saab's last month as serving as Sadr. So we wanted to take a few minutes out to thank Sadr Saab and for his leadership over the past few years. And while this will be humiliating and a bit embarrassing for him, but I think for our part, we want to do what Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says. He says, if you're not thankful to men, then you're not thankful to God. So we'd like to take a few minutes and thank Sadr Saab for his leadership and direction. As one of Sadr Saab's most endearing qualities was his personal relationship with the Khudam. So I think the best way to thank him is by letting you say in your own words, thank you. So if any of you would like to say thank you, or if you have incidences that you think the Majlis would benefit from with respect to Sadr Sahab, I welcome you to come up here and say a few words. You can line up here.
Or not, that's okay too. Sorry.
So while folks are lining up, I'll just kind of get us started. So one of the things that I think as an Amla we found really helpful but also challenging was that Sadr Sahab pushes us a lot. He pushes us to get outside of our comfort zone. And whether it's a London trip or it's a West Coast Ijtema, we'll spend an hour on the conference call thinking of reasons of why we can't do it, why it's difficult. And at the end of the conference call, Sadr Sahab will say, let's just do it anyway. And because of that intention and that, we've been able to accomplish, alhamdulillah, quite a bit. Others are also welcome.
Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah Sadr Sahab. I had an honor of working with you for 6 years. Emotional time for me. I just shared this and asked me to share a few things. I think my wife would be the one who would be really, really happy that Sadr Sahab is actually going into Ansarullah. The reason is that I remember Sadr Sahab and I used to have a lot of phone calls, longer calls up to like 2 a.m. And we will be doing, so he will call me at 8 p.m. And my wife would come and say, okay, who's on the phone? I say, Sadr Sahab. And she would say, okay, I'll bring your khana, I'll bring you dinner. Because she would know the call would go up to 2 a.m. or 1 a.m. or so on. So I think that we had such a loving time with you. And I was thinking, Mohtam Sahab asked, so I wrote down some qualities that at least I saw in you and something that I tried to mimic. And I think the most important was your humility. I observed you for the last 6 years dealing with us as a National Amla members and Khudam as well. And I think we can say that you are the most humble person that we have met, that we have served with alongside as well. Very loving, caring, always found you as a friend and a mentor, always trusting. One of the key words I always heard from Sadr, I would say, I trust your judgments, Mohtam Sahab, all the time. I didn't have to, whatever discussions, decisions we needed to make, the last sentence was, Mohtam Sahab, I trust your judgment. And this is going to stick with me. The trust that he gave while I served as Mohtam Atfal and in Amur Talaba and other capacities, whatever I was asked to serve in. I also remember so many calls during the day Sadr Sahab will call from hospital. And he will say, Mohtam Sahab, just hold on. And he'll put me on mute. He will deal with whatever he was doing. And sometime that was 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and I was like, okay, I don't want to be his patient. But we had really good, some of those memories that are really going to be stick with me. I think some of the other qualities I saw and I'll miss are your out-of-the-box thinking. I think I could say this, that we as a Majlis Khudam in the last 6 years, we have explored so many other things, and we have went out our way and introduced the initiatives that we never had before. Gigi, one more minute. So we had a UK visit. Some of the things I wanted to bring up. The UK visit, Sadr Sahab's idea brought it up that the Amla went to meet Huzur. And then Huzur's address to the National Amla, National Ijtema 4 or 5 years ago, the Brotherhood group to UK 2 times.
Jazakallah.
So just few more things I have. And I think the Khudam National Ijtema doing it all over different places. So I have so many memories. It's really hard for me to put together in a few minutes the thoughts that I had. And the one last thing I have is that I think that we could recognize, but there's one organization, corporation that should recognize Sadr Sahab is Telegram. I mean, Sadr Sahab was the Telegram Sadr. He was always online, always responding. I mean, doesn't matter, it was 11 p.m., 4 a.m., you ping him, he would respond. So I think along with the National Amla, the Khudam, and Telegram will all miss you. Jazakallah so much, appreciate it.
Jazakallah. So if he's already said something, then you guys don't have to say it. It's a long line. All right, be brief, very brief, maybe one sentence or one word, that's good. Jazakallah.
Well, Sadr Sahab, I have a few brief words for you. So I want to tell a story about how I met the Sutter. So a month after I converted to Ahmadiyya, he contacted me saying, "Hey, let me know if I can be of any help to you." I'm like, oh no, Umer helped me out. And he was like, oh man, I wish I could have helped. I'm like, oh no, relax. God knows what your intentions is. And then he said, Jazakallah. I really admire you for your easygoing and your deep caring for other people. It really inspires me, to just be laughing, easygoing, you name it. I couldn't thank you more for being our Sutter, and you'll forever be in our hearts, and you'll forever be a Karam in our hearts.
Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah Sadr Saab for arranging several good ijtemas and several good events. One of the best events I experienced was the London trip and the Umrah I did after that. We got to meet Hazur and we got to see all the holy sites. I really appreciate it and thank you for all the good things you did, and you're a really good person, and inshallah, may Allah bless you all. Ameen.
Allah bless you too. Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Assalamu alaikum, Sadr Saab. The one thing that sticks to my mind in 2015, I got into a serious accident. So Sadr Saab, I didn't follow Telegram at that time, but Sadr Saab wrote a letter to Hazur. So I'll never forget that, Sadr Saab. Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum. My history with Sadr Saab starts with when I was elected as Qaid for Boston under leadership of Fahim and Qureshi Saab. Then under his leadership, I learned a lot from him. Such a kind soul. I thank you a lot for paying a lot of attention on my personal issues as well. And we'll miss you. And I know you love me a lot because I have seen that you've been checking on my WhatsApp statuses time to time.
Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Sadr Saab, prior to your being Sadr, I had no connection to MKA USA, and I had no want to be connected to MKA USA. But the first time I met you was at West Coast Jalsa, and what truly won me over was your unrelenting and abnormal humility, and that really inspired me and has continued to inspire me to this day. And I can say that the connection I have to MKA USA is 100% your fault.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I just want to let the audience know that your Sadr Saab used to be a ball player too, and we used to have a lot of battles. So I don't know him that personally, but I know him enough. So it's nice to see that after all these years, alhamdulillah, he's turned into, mashallah, a very good MD, a very good role model for all of us. But he definitely used to be able to hoop. It was nice battles. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. So I will say two things. One is kind of serious, one is kind of not so serious. And so the first one is just on your leadership style. I think it's having worked in the corporate world for some time. One of the biggest things I see is sort of the fact that people, whether they're whatever sort of leadership role they're serving in, sometimes they have the tendency to just sort of say, well, do this and do that and do that. And the thing I love about you, Sadr Saab, is that, which is why I think, to other people's point, there's individuals who said I'd never really had any connection to MKA before that, is that you sort of empower individuals and let them sort of achieve sort of their potential. And I think I'm standing right here, I feel like I'm a direct result of sort of the trust that you gave in the office holders. And then on the second one, Jazakallah for Sports Chat. I think for those that are here, they'll know what I'm talking about. I think that the fact that you showed us that we can sort of, I guess for lack of better terms, goof off every now and then, even though we're all brothers, we can kind of laugh and have a good time, except for when the Sports Chat melts down and we got to kind of go medieval. So I'll leave that there. So Jazakallah says up.
Assalamu alaikum, Sadr Saab. I just wanted to share one incident. So getting to know Sadr Saab when I first became a Qaid in 2010, Sadr Saab took the Sadarat, and that was the first year Fazl Umar Qaideen Conference was held in Virginia. And I was asked to serve Nazm Allah. I was 8 days in, and I still remember that I would agree 100% with Armagan Bhai talking about humility. And we were going through conference calls, we were preparing for everything that we could. And after one final conference call, Sadr Saab gives me a call, and he says, Qaid Saab, how's the audio video setup? Has that been taken care of? And I said, Sadr Saab, unfortunately, I could not find the right person to get it taken care of. And at that point, I got a little bit of a scolding. So Sadr Saab, and I will tell you the full story, and you'll see what why I'm sharing this, is after I hung up the call, Sadr Saab mentioned to me that the sanctity of Majlis Khudam al-Ahmadiyya, when we're holding an event, how important it is to make sure we're preparing to our utmost and doing our best. And when I hung up the phone, I literally was praying to myself, what can I do to fix this? And the next morning, I called a couple of people. We were able to get it taken care of. And that evening, when I went to the airport, I was a little reluctant to pick up Sadr Saab because he was arriving. I said, he was mad last night, let's see. So as soon as I saw Sadr Saab, I shook his hand, and he gave me the biggest hug. And he says, first a little bit scolding, now get all the love. And at that moment, the moment that I felt, the Sadr of his, Sadr Saab, your quality of humbleness, forgiveness, and leading us, and so I just want to say Jazakallah for that.
Jazakallah. Appreciate the very brief comments. Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum. So last year, National Ijtema at LA, it was a very difficult first National Ijtema because it was the first time I was going there alone with my brother. And at that point, I did not feel safe at all. Especially when we were walking throughout the city. I think it was on the Friday or Saturday, I can't remember now. But such a simple thing he did. So he walked up to me and said, are you okay? And of course I said no. But then I told him my situation. He had just such a look of concern on his face, such a look of understanding. And that's when I really felt like this was an amazing and cool person. He checked back up on me, I think it was on the beach Saturday, and I said I was okay and I was feeling fine, but Jazakallah Sadr Saab for that.
Assalamu alaikum, Sadr Saab. As you may or may not know, I'm a Khadim from Canada, so I'm not a USA Khadim. But for the number of years that I've known you, you've always made me feel at home, always made me feel like one of your Khudam. And I just wanted to share one story about your humility. When we came to Mist in 2015, you served us food as a Sadr, and that left a resounding impact on myself and many Khudam. And you've made a great impact on a lot of Khudam here, so Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum, Sadr Saab. I just wanted to thank you for being the big brother that I've never had. So just Jazakallah. I'm forever indebted to you.
Assalamu alaikum, Sadr Saab. I just want to thank you for all you've done for the youth of MKA. For example, you made me guide of your local majlis when I was only 19 years old. And I'm a t-shirt for Panda like you wanted it to. But I'm still here thanks to you. So Jazakallah.
Assalamualaikum. So I'll just give a quick backdrop of the story. I promise I'll be quick. But this is regarding the May 2017 London trip. So like 1 month before, I was supposed to go with my family and with my parents. And once we got to the airport, there was a lot of problems with the flight, and it kept getting delayed, and ultimately got canceled. That was in April. And so I was obviously really bummed out. I mean, who wouldn't be? Especially because last time I saw Hazur was 2012, and I was like 12 at that point. So I didn't like really appreciate that much. So at being a little older, I really wanted to go. But so then and I'd never considered going on the May 2017, like the Khudam group trip that was going to happen 1 month later. It was just never on my radar. So then a couple weeks later, after the failed flight. I got a call from Sadr Saab, and I was very obviously it's like, well, why is Sadr Saab calling me? And he said, and he just said you should go to the Ijtema, or the May trip that we're going to have in a couple weeks. And so at that point I was like, okay, maybe I should consider it, and I ended up going, and it was by far, one of the, it was a life-changing trip by, every measure that I could imagine. And especially, we had the Bayat ceremony with Hazur, I think it was Saturday. And I wanted to get as close as possible, so I ended up getting very close. I was like second row. And anybody who's been part of a Bayat ceremony with Hazur knows that it's the most incredible experience you will ever have. And so at that moment, I was so pent up, with emotion. I didn't let it out, and so after the bit that ended, Hazur had walked out. I was in a state of like, what just happened? And then I saw Amjad Khan Saab. He had tears in his eyes, and as soon as I saw tears in his eyes, I just started bawling. I just lost it because all that pent up emotion in you. And then I saw Sadr Saab, and I just ran over and I embraced Sadr Saab. And so that is a treasure that I will never leave. I have the picture saved on my phone. I downloaded it from the Google Flickr. So Jazakallah.
I think we could stop the line too if that's.
So I would just like to say, as a convert coming in, and I'm sure that's not just me, but thank you for making me feel welcomed from the very beginning. Thank you for making me feel heard. Thank you for making me feel seen and feeling a part of the Jamaat in a way that I'm not sure that is really describable in words. And thank you for the opportunity to see your leadership and to be a part of that and to serve under you. I was very humbled with the opportunities that I was given in the time that I've known you. Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum. So one thing that I've noticed about Sadr Saab always is, ever since I first met him a few years ago, is that there's always been like a very innate and deep kindness within him. Like so since he's Sadr Saab MK, like at Ijtema events like this or any national event, people are gonna come up to him with problems and all sorts of things that they have questions about maybe, and it must be a very stressful thing, and it takes a lot of leadership and responsibility. But one thing I've noticed is every time I see him, no matter what's going on, no matter what hardship he's going through, no matter what he's dealing with, if we exchange salam, he always has a kind, loving smile on his face, and he's always just so caring, and he's very nice. Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Just wanted to share a few qualities that I noticed about you. I think most of my active Khuddam years, you have been our Sadr. Your patience, I mean, it's incredible. When I'm given duties around Ijtemas, etc., especially dealing with some of the young Khuddam, especially at basketball, there was one incident, I think, on the East Coast Ijtema where there was a huge commotion going on the basketball field, on the court rather, and you were just kind of smiling, and there was this Khuddam rather that was swearing and kind of really hot tempered, and you were just smiling and just like. everything will be okay. And, I think the refs wanted to kick that Khadim out of the game, and you were just like, no, it's okay. And, took him in your arms and helped him calm down. And that was the first thing I noticed about you. And other thing I noticed is you'll see him kind of going in and out of the crowd. You'll never know he's there, but sometimes he'll just pop up next to you. And then his hug, he has a handshake and then just arm just wraps around you, like a bear hug, but half a bear hug. And so I just wanted to share that with you. Oh, and when I lost my passport, you gave me personal attention to make sure I got my passport back in London, and so that, I'll remember that for a long, long time.
Exactly.
Assalamualaikum, Sir. Just want to share one incident that kind of encompasses what you have meant to me as a friend and as a leader. It was when I was 15 years old. I think you were probably 16, 17, and you were either finance secretary or Qaid Majlis, and you gave me my first Oda as a finance secretary underneath you. And it was probably the worst suited job for someone that was as shy as me. But it forced me to open up and begin asking people for money. So it sparked the first kind of fire in me to serve the Jamaat. So for that, I'll be forever grateful.
Assalamu alaikum, Sir. Just briefly, two things. In 2015, I got a call from Sadr Saab. I had not gotten many calls from him before, but he said, we will be going to see our beloved Imam, and I want to personally invite you to come with us. And immediately, as a father of 4 kids, my thought was that my kids haven't met Hazur. So I asked Sadr Saab, is Atfal going to be there too? Because my kids are just turning 7. And can I bring them as well? And Sadr Saab said, it's an official Khuddam trip only, but I cannot stop you from having your kids meet our beloved Imam. And he just left it at that. And Alhamdulillah, I was able to take my kids with me on that trip, and they were able to sit, we had a mulaqat with Hazur, they were able to sit in Baitul Futuh for Jummah, and they really enjoyed the trip. And then next year, year after, they went with that fall trip. So that's one thing. Jazakallah Sadr for that. And the other thing is, after that, or even then, still now, a few weeks ago or a couple months ago, Sadr Saab has called me and asked me on various things. For example, there was a tabligh effort that we wanted to do, or some other program, and Sadr Saab said, Mansoor, you come from Pakistan, you came from Pakistan, and you know a little bit more, or you have that Jamaat tradition in your mind, so I really want to consult with you. By all means, I'm humbled for that, and I don't have any experience. And Sadr Saab consulted me a couple of times on these occasions, personally. So I'm very humbled, and Jazakallah Sadr Saab for everything you did. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum, Sadr Saab. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Oh, it's okay. Oh, Jazakallah. All right. I think it's off. It's all right. Assalamu alaikum, Sadr Saab. I just wanted to share with everyone a quick hadith of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. When I read it, the one person in MKA USA that comes to my mind, and I'm sure for many of your minds, is our beloved Sadr Saab. And the hadith goes as the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was asked by one of his companions that which of one's companions or one's friends are best. And he said, the one who reminds you most of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and whose speech increases you in knowledge, and whose actions remind you of the hereafter. So Sahab, it's been an amazing time seeing MKA really flourish under you, seeing so many Khuddam really activate under you, and I hope that this continues, and I hope you also take a page out of Brother Muhammad Ahmad's book and graduate Khuddam al-Ahmadiyya with the intention of coming back to our national Ijtemas in every event that you can. Inshallah, I appreciate everything you've done.
Assalamu alaikum, Sadr Saab. I wanted to be the last one to say a few words.
First of all, I want to apologize. I wasn't able to attend last night's session. I got sick, so I was in my room. So, second thing, you have that closeness, that warmth that enlighten everybody. And for 2016, for those of you who don't know, my family was going through a tragic event. My dad was on life support, and Sadr Saab been reaching out to me multiple times, either on Telegram and either privately or calling me. He's called me a few times, and he just like asked me, "How's your dad doing?" And he was in LA in I remember, I think last year, and we had this general meeting, and he showed up for like 15-20 minutes just to talk to us and our Qaid about event. And he had a flight later, so he left early. So on his way out, he apologized that I want to apologize to you. I wasn't be able to see your father, and that was enough for him to say, and that tells you that he truly cares about each and every one, and he just wants everyone to stay connected to him and Khilafat. So I appreciate that. Jazakallah.
Nazmi Allah is going to present a gift to Sasa.
I don't have room. I don't know if.
I'll move for this. All right. So I was so busy with the organization of the National Ijtema that I admit that I completely overlooked this part of the Ijtema, and I thank Rahman for reminding me of this, and it's a special thing that we have for Sadr Saab. So Rahman reminded me that Sadr Saab is going to be his last Ijtema, and we have to do something. So very few days were left. In fact, like a week and a half. I said, "Oh, what can we do? I'm the worst person to select a gift for Sadr Saab." So basically, we created a Telegram group, solicited ideas from some senior members, and I think Ashfaq Bhai was the one who gave this idea. So I thank him that he couldn't come himself. But we have from Huzur himself, we have a picture of Sadr Saab with Huzur, and it was autographed by Huzur. And we have a MKA scarf that is also signed by Huzur himself, and the MKA flag and the USA flag. So just want to, to remind you of your years as Sadr Khudamul Ahmadiyya. It says, Bilal Rana with Hazrat Khalifatul Masih, Ayadullah Ta'ala bin Nasir Aziz, Sadr Majlis Khudamul Ahmadiyya USA 2012 to 2018. So, and Huzur, as I said, this last week was Jalsa UK. Huzur was extremely busy in that. I thank Imam Abdullah Debba Saab that he took it upon himself, brought it to Huzur, and Huzur graciously gave this gift for Huzur, Bilal Rana Saab.
Islam Ahmadiyya, Ghulam Ahmad ki, Khilafat Ahmadiyya, Hazrat Amirul Momineen, Hazrat Amirul Momineen, Nizam-e-Jamaat, Nizam-e-Jamaat, Majlis Khudamul Ahmadiyya USA, Majlis Khudamul Ahmadiyya USA, Nare Takbir.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Jazakallah. I want to first clear, it's not really our tradition to do that. But it's also not our tradition to be rude and to stop someone from saying a kind thing. So that's why I did it. I wasn't looking for that. I don't desire it. It was very kind, very sweet of you. And if you didn't say anything, I already feel your kindness. I've always felt your kindness. I'm as ordinary, as regular, as sinful as they come. If you open up my chest, you look at my scores, my numbers, my report card, it is very, very average, maybe C plus. But it is very, very average. So I'm just very lucky to have served you, and I'm really no different than anyone who's folding chairs, who's in the langar. I'm just doing a different role, and it just comes with a different office, a different title, a different formality about it. But the spirit and the reward from Allah is the same everywhere. And it has nothing to do with spiritual rank. It really doesn't. All of your offices are a test for you. It just has to do with whoever happens to be chosen to do the work, and that's it. And for every community, every moment their tomorrow is better than their yesterday. So the next Sadr will come in, he will improve on my weaknesses, which are many, and he will also improve on whatever strengths that we have as a majlis too. So I do have another year as a khadam, although not as a Sadr, but I'm grateful to all of you. And I stand here in my last year as a Sadr in search of a message to share. After 6 years as a Sadr and 39 years as a khadam, you could say that I've reached the end of a hike. I stand on top of that hill with the view below, and I want to tell you what I see. I can warn you about many things, dangerous rocks, the wildlife, the harsh elements, but from all these hazards of youth, the one that stands out the most is the wastage of time. The Holy Prophet ﷺ has said, take advantage of 5 matters before 5 other matters. Your youth before you become old. Your health before you become sick. Your wealth before you become poor. Your free time before you become preoccupied. And your life before your death. This blessed advice of the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ I share with you on this occasion. I'm old now, or almost old. I'm graying, and very soon so will you. You will be 40 before you know it, and by that time it'll already be too late for you to do anything about it. Men at this time often go through a very strange crisis, a midlife crisis of regret. They reflect upon life. In Islam, however, 40 is a very important age, and the number 40 carries a very important weight about it. It is a kind of target for you to aim for. The year of 40 is mentioned in the Holy Quran. It was at 40 years of age when the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was given the divine call. But the point is that he was preparing for it. He was prepared to receive that call, and you have a target of 40 before you to achieve an excellence which you can look back on and be proud of when you stand on this hill and look back and down at your life and the years you spent as a youth. So men go through this type of regret, emotional crisis of identity. They want a do-over in life. We all love our do-overs, our retakes and everything. Look at people who do these plastic surgeries. And this is a sign for you. They want to turn back the clock. People try and reverse the aging process with all these creams and these surgeries and these injections, but none of it makes any difference. Your youth is not going to come back. There's no do-overs, there's no reset button like on a video game. You can't retake a test that you fail like you do in college or in high school. You get one shot and that's it, and you're 40. So ask yourself now, am I wasting away my one trip through this world or not? That is the question. The Holy Prophet ﷺ phrased it this way: for you to value your health because one day you will lose it, your wealth because one day that'll be gone too, your free time because one day you'll be just too busy, and your life because one day you'll be dead. You might think that it's strange to talk of death in youth, and admittedly so, that's probably not the first thing on your mind or even the second or third thing on your mind. But it was just a few months ago when we in Majlis Khudam al-Ahmadiyya buried one of our best Khudam, Tariq Bhatti, and many of you, dozens of you, were at his funeral there, burying him, putting the dirt on his body, and putting his remains in the ground. I remember Hazur also told a story of a khadim who on May 28th, a bullet pierced his chest, and he realized he was in his last hour, and he reached in his pocket, called his mother, and he asked his mother for forgiveness and to make amends or whatever, and that was his last breath. We also have the example of Raza Salim, who was a missionary, a Jamia student, who died maybe 1 or 2 years ago on a hiking trip. Although he took all the proper precautions, he slipped and fell off the side of the mountain, and Hazur, who really loved him, dedicated a Friday sermon to him. Death could strike at any time. These are real stories, cancers, accidents, it could be anything, World War III. The point is that good health is no certainty of a long life. And it's not just death. Real death is not when you're buried. Real death happens when you stop making progress in your life. Some of us might spiritually peak in our youth, in our 20s, in our 30s, and maybe we don't realize that. And that's it. Even though your bodies may be buried when you're 80. Your book of good deeds ended in your early youth, and you're as good as dead. So don't be like this. I'm telling you to rethink yourselves now. When are you going to delete those useless apps on your phone? When are you going to stop wasting time binging on series after series? When are you going to hold yourself accountable and to a higher standard? Will you keep taking selfie after selfie, posting it to brag to your friends, and just because you don't want to sound conceited, you add on a hashtag blessed, and you think that's okay? And that's how you use this technology, this wonderful piece of equipment and technology Allah Ta'ala has given us, taken us thousands of years to develop, and this is how we're going to use it. You have to decide which person you're going to be. There's two types of people, and sometimes there's an overlap in life. But there's the person who, when Hazur has an address, is aware of it. He knows when Hazur is going to address, where he's traveling, when he's going to speak, what's his live address in my time zone, am I going to watch it, am I going to wake up and watch it? And then there's the other person, and we all have been there or coming from that life, but who's interested in an artist, or a Netflix series that's about to drop, or a song that's going to drop at midnight, and I got a, Travis Scott, new album, I want to be one of the first people in the world to hear his song. And rather, when you transition, you want to think about, I want to be one of the first people to hear Hazur's, one of the few youth in the world to hear Hazur's blessed words. So my dear youth, I'm really worried for you. Some of you, it seems, it is as if you're sleepwalking through life. This complacency I see in many of you is poisonous. You think I'll do namaz regularly, maybe when I get older, or I'll start paying chanda, maybe at some point when I get a good job. But these are your chance to have the richest actions, the most meaningful actions in your early life. And your actions don't die, my dear friends. They don't die, they have repercussions here and in the afterlife as well. There will be a video that will be played for you in the afterlife. I speak in metaphor, but you will look back at all the different scenes of your youth and you will judge yourself. In fact, you will be judged by yourself as well, and you will regret the actions that you did or didn't do. And a time will come when there will be an announcement for a janazah, and a name will be read, and that name will be yours. The mosque that you do vakar amal in, the very mosque that you clean, that you met so many of these friends here at this Ijtema in, it will have a body in it, and that body will be yours. How you spend your days and nights now, your free time, is how you will spend your life. Better you decide on it now, since it's coming anyway. The sooner we decide what Jamaat has is better than what the world has for us, the better we will be for it. So we should make this transition of a life of selfies to a life of selfless. What does Surah Asr talk about? It talks about all this. The time is fleeting. Surely man is in a state of loss. Think about it this way. If you had just 1 hour, what becomes meaningful to you in life? If you had 1 hour to live, does any of this make any difference? Your clothes, your cars, your dream job, your dream girl, does any of that matter to you anymore? What matters to you at that time? What mattered to that khadim who had a bullet in his chest? He wanted to make spiritual amends, and he did. Many of you hiked Mount Ida today, and if you could speak to yourself yesterday, you might have some wise things to say. You might have told yourself what items you need for the hike, what to prepare for, what to look out for. So I'm telling you, you have this chance right now. In fact, the Holy Prophet ﷺ gave us this advice for us already. He's speaking to you, and you are young enough now where the sands in the hourglass are still in your favor. So I'll close with Hazur's words again, the Holy Prophet ﷺ. He said, take advantage of 5 things ahead of 5 other things. Your youth before you become old. Your health before you become sick. Your wealth before you become poor. Your free time before you become preoccupied. And your life before your death. Wa akhiru dawana alhamdulillah. Before we conclude with dua, and I'll ask Habib Shafiq Saab if he would conclude with dua and maybe a few words. I want to take a chance to thank everyone who made this Ijtema possible. I'm going to refrain from using names because inevitably I'll miss names, but you guys know all the departments, Nazmi Allah, transportation, ziyafat, accommodations, and everybody I've missed. And also you for the service you provide by way of patience, by way of participation, by way of prayers. Numbers. We have in attendance 725 is the number that Nazmi Allah has decided on. 750 if you include some of their families. At Tfal Ijtema, we had 354 Tfal, 30 boys and 200 Khudam. That number is 584. So 584 and 725 are our 2 numbers. 1309, although there's some duplication. 70 out of 74 majalis, alhamdulillah, attended, are represented here at the 50th anniversary Ijtema. I appreciate everything that you've done, Jazakallah. And I invite Brother Habib Shafiq Saab to conclude with a few words and then to end this in dua. Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Sadr Saab. My beloved youth of Majlis, Qadam al Ahmadiyya USA, I'd like to leave you with 3 brief antidotes. One from Qadian, one from Rabwa, and one from Lahore. After the Fajr prayer, I had the pleasure of 1 year in Qadian to walk to the Bahisti Maqbar with His Excellency Saeed Barakat Ahmed. He had been assigned to the Foreign Service of India. He was a protege of Sir Muhammad Zafrullah Khan. He was the highest ranking person in the Indian government, and he was assigned to the USA, to the United Nations. And my go-to question always when I went to Rabwa and Qadian 5 times or so, I always had a go-to question, and that go-to question, sir, would you please give me some advice? His Excellency, as we were walking to the Bahisti Maqbar, here was his advice to me. He didn't think, he didn't stutter. He said, my dear Habib Saab, when you wake up every morning, you have 3 strikes against you. When you wake up every morning, you have 3 strikes against you. You are black, you are a Muslim, and you are an Ahmadi Muslim, and you have to be good at all 3 of those things. So my beloved, look in the mirror tonight. What is that color? Put that color there. Then add this. You are Muslim, you are Ahmadi Muslim, and you have to be good at all those things. From Rabwa, Sir Muhammad Zafullah Khan was a man of few words with us in social circles. We were always tense when Chaudhry Sahib came because he was not bubbly, but extraordinarily keen and insightful. So, my go-to question to Chaudhry Sahib, going back to America, would you please give us some advice? Sitting in the Tariq-e-Jadid guest house in Rabwa with his brilliant Turkish cap, his cane, he looked out afar. And his advice to us was simply this: what the Quran says do, do. What the Quran says don't do, don't do. And lastly, my beloved, it's from Lahore, at Chaudhry Muhammad Zafullah Khan's home. We were his guests for lunch. Again, my go-to question. Sir, would you give us some advice? We're going back to America. He said, yes. Chaudhry Sahib said, yes. The Messiah of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has come. And Allah spoke to him. The Messiah of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has come, and Allah spoke to him. We have a duty and an obligation, beloved, to tell America and tell the world that the long-awaited Messiah of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has come. I leave you with love and thank you for inviting me here. And jokingly I said that someone asked me how this Ijtema was for me. And I just flippantly said, but I think I mean it, that this Ijtema for me was Khatamul Ijtema. That this is the seal of the Ijtemas. Now, there are going to be other Ijtemas, but they're going to have to be in the power and spirit and leadership of the 50th. Lastly, those of you who are 20 and under, raise your hand. You're 20 and under. In 50 years, you're going to have the 100th. I'm 66. You probably be that age or 70. Remember us. And this place should be too small. Jazakumullah. Please keep me in your prayers. Fi amanullah. Please, silent prayer. Allahumma ameen.